The Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup, does like to be beside the seaside. We've come from Zandvoort to Misano on the Adriatic coast. 2 one-hour races in prospect at a really good circuit in glorious weather. It's going to be a great weekend of action. The same was true last time in Holland. Race 2 burst into life with Raffaele Marciello having the lead in the Mercedes from pole position as the cars dive down towards the Tarzan hairpin for the first time. The Mercedes tried to build its lead, and over the first few laps of the race, a really good effort by Pierre-Alexandre Jean's Bentley up into second place really helped the Mercedes get away. PAJ acting, if you like, as the cork in the bottle. He had the traffic stacked up behind him. There was drama in the pack though. Chris Froggatt making contact with the opposition and picking up a puncture. That brought the Sky Tempesta Racing Ferrari into the pit lane and badly delayed it. There was more great racing out on track. Pierre-Alexandre Jean's Bentley eventually cracked. He made a tiny error, and up to try to find a way past him came Dries van Thor, but he wasn't able to find a way by until off the road went Pierre-Alexandre Jean. Mauro Engel was delayed in all of that, so he lost track position and then had even more dramas at the end of the main straight. Straight on he went into the gravel. That effectively put the car out of the race as the pit window opened and the stops cycled through, and a really good stop for the number 163 Lamborghini of Albert Costa and Norbert Siedler put that into the lead as drama befell Jim Plow's Mercedes and the Stefan Richelme Nelson Panciatici Bentley. Charles Weerts relieved Dries van Thor, and then the race-leading Mercedes hit problems. Timo Bogoslawski limped to the pit lane with alternator problems, putting the number 163 Lamborghini into a lead it was never to lose. Off the road went Louis Machiels in Pro-Am. He dragged the Ferrari out of the gravel but facing the wrong way as Siedler and Costa took the win ahead of Alex Fontana and Riccardo Fella, also in the Emil Frey Racing Lamborghini squad, who had won Saturday's race. It was the perfect weekend for the Swiss team. 2 races, 2 wins for Emil Frey Racing at Zandvoort. At Misano this weekend, it looks as though it could well be an Audi circuit. Charles Weerts, fastest in qualifying for race 1, and he always goes well round here.
Of course, we have a good position now. We had a good test, and we know that Misano is a track that suits us well. So hopefully we can score big points. Competition is running quite high this year, as each year it's getting more and more difficult to win. But we are quite determined to keep our championship, and yeah, we will fight until the end. And yeah, we'll try to score as much points as we can.
There's been a bit more shuffling in the Audi ranks as well this weekend. Joseph Vega stands down. Into number 66 comes Fabien Laverne.
The track is really nice. There is, good speed corners, and you can push a lot. So you just try to find the balance between stay within the track limits, obviously, but it's a nice track.
It's been a rather frustrating start to the season for Raffaele Marciello, and a win certainly went begging at Zandvoort, those mechanical problems costing them victory. He needs a big haul of points from Misano this weekend.
I don't think it's easy as last year, let's say. Audi looks quite strong. Car number 32, even Santelok, we saw this morning they were quite strong. I mean, then tomorrow when it's qualifying, it's 9 o'clock, so it will be a bit cooler.
Pro-Am had a new winner at Zandvoort last time out, the SPS Automotive Performance Mercedes. Dominic Baumann and Valentin Pierberg, the drivers.
I really like the way the circuit is set. It's quite technical in some parts, but on the other hand, it's also got some very fast corners. Again, where you really have to believe and trust into the car and into the setup. And I think we found a really good setup here. And again, I think we're going to perform really well, hopefully.
Funny things happened in Holland. The number 52 Ferrari was seen pointing in the wrong direction on occasions. It was a tough weekend for Louis Machiels and for Andrea Bertolini.
I like Misano because it's technical. The only point is it's not quite easy to overtake other cars, also if they are a bit slower. So it will be important to have a good qualifying session to start in front of your competitor, like in the Pro-Am class. But yeah, it's a big challenge, but every race of the GT World Challenge on the Sprint Series is challenge, so it doesn't matter where you are.
Riccardo Fella took an outright win in race 1 at Zandvoort. He's also heading the Silver Cup. This is a really strong season for Emil Frey Racing.
I think we have 3 strong lineups in sprint and also in endurance. We are the silver car in the team. At the moment, we are the first one in the championship, so I like it.
Rinaldi Racing was out of luck in Holland with its Ferrari, but Benjahaitis feels that the car has turned a corner this weekend.
The car is feeling really good. We improved a lot from yesterday to today. The car feels really balanced and really comfortable for the race. We hope that we gain a little bit more in the qualifying phase, so yeah, pretty confident.
Another of the very fast Ferraris is the Sky Tempesta Racing entry. It runs in the Silver Cup. Chris Froggatt and Giorgio Roda, the drivers. For Giorgio, he is relishing the chance to drive this car around the Misano circuit and use all available real estate.
I really like the circuit because, you know, there are really low curves that you can really cut in, and now they put a yellow banana in the outside, so we cannot cut and go really over them because otherwise we're gonna damage the car, so we don't want that. But on the inside we can really gain a bit of time with cutting. So here I think is the big cue and difference with the curb, because it's a motorcycle circuit. So for us with the GT cars we really cut them, and I also think that Ferrari is really competitive here compared to other tracks.
The CMR Bentleys have been perhaps the real revelation of the season. Both really competitive, really quick. And in number 107, Ulysse de Pauw and his co-driver Pierre-Alexandre Jean have looked mighty impressive. And the Bentley seems to be well suited to Misano on the evidence of the weekend thus far, especially in Pierre-Alexandre Jean's hands.
Yeah, I love this track. It's quite a fast track. The first sector is quite slow, so quite hard in terms of driving. You need to push the braking, have some good speed in the corners. I love also the fast part of the track over there. So yeah, globally I love this track. We have to work on the car to be more efficient, but should have a good weekend.
Don't forget the global nature of GT3 racing. The Fanatec GT World Challenge, powered by AWS, brings all the brands together, not just in Europe, but in Australia, in America as well. And you take the points scored across the globe, and right now it is Mercedes-AMG which heads the Fanatec GT World Challenge, powered by AWS, chased by Lamborghini, with Audi a very strong third. It is nearly time to go racing. Welcome everybody to Misano in the sunshine for race one of the weekend. The grid is formed based on the time set in qualifying this morning. The important part of which to make the point of is that the pole position set by Charles Weerts gives him and Dries van Voor a point, and that now moves them into the lead of the championship. They were half a point back, they're now half a point ahead. So it was a very, very useful lap that Charles Weerts set this morning. You heard drivers talking about the nature of this fast circuit and the curbs and how that can affect life. We'll see that, I'm sure, over the course of the next 1 hour. Gemma Scott is down on the grid. John Watson and David Anderson trackside. Watty, this is a really busy lap, not only in terms of the number of corners they've got to cope with, but the amount of traffic on the grid. 30 cars, biggest sprint race grid we've had since 2017.
Well, into turn one. Where's the cork in the bottle going to be? Turn 2, where's the cork in the bottle going to be? Turn 3, likewise, because they follow one after the other. And it is congestion central down at those first opening corners on the opening lap. And hopefully, with 30 cars on the grid, we'll see 30 come out of turn 3 all in one piece.
Fingers crossed very firmly. A couple of things to point out from the grid. Number 66 newcomer Fabien Laverne, he lost his best lap time because right at the end of the session he spun, got stuck in the gravel, caused a red flag. If you are the cause of a stoppage, you lose your best lap time by way of a penalty. And number 93, the Sky Tempesta Racing Ferrari, has been given a 5-place grid drop because Chris Froggatt has racked up 3 behavioural warning points, and so once you've done that, the car takes a grid drop in the next race that driver is involved, whether he starts the car in that race or not. So Giorgio Roda will start, but with Chris Froggatt's BWPs, hence it has the 5-place grid drop. 1 hour of racing, pit window between 25 and 35 minutes. The car's now released with Charles Weerts starting on pole position. Leo Roussel's best qualifying of the season puts him on the outside of the front row of the grid, ahead of Albert Costa, who's feeling a bit fluey and under the weather, and the ever-impressive Ulysse de Pauw, who was taken to GT3 cars like a duck to water. Aurélien Panis starts 5th. Jim Pla lines up 6th on the grid, ahead of Luca Stoltz and Timur Boguslavski, both of them hoping for better results than they had in Holland. Rick Brokers is 9th and Oscar Turnho 10th. 11th is where you find Alex Fontana, and Ollie Wilkinson in the returning Jota McLaren comes next, ahead of Nelson Panciatici and then Benji Highties. On the next row of the grid, row 8, you've got Frank Bird lining up alongside Tuomas Tuijala, ahead of Adrian Delina, and alongside him is Benji Goethe. Starting on row 10, Alex Arca and Jordan Love, ahead of Konsta Lapalainen and Fabien Laverne. On the 12th row, Petru Oberescu lines up alongside Finlay Hutchison, ahead of Louis Machiels and newcomer Julien Apodostos in the Team Allied Racing Porsche. Then on the penultimate row, there's Valentin Pierberg and Miguel Ramos, ahead of Giorgio Roda and Alexander West. That is a great grid, 30 cars, and if anybody can make a break and leave the traffic squabbling behind, they are going to be in the box seats, John, aren't they?
Yes, I mean, I talked about turns 1, 2 and 3, but actually all round the opening lap here at the 4.2-kilometre Misano racetrack, 16 turns. Now, just to clarify, we were talking about this morning track limit abuses. As we see, a rather warm track temperature, 37, wow, 0.5. That's way up from where we were this morning. Track limits will be imposed on the exit of corner 6 and corner 16. Turns 8, corner 8 and corner 13, 14. You are allowed to run over the double white lines and the red and white lines onto the green part of the racetrack. But 2 corners, turn 6 and turn 16, keep an eye for, maybe say, excessive use of track limits.
I think you might be right. For what it's worth, last year we had 3 races here. 2 of them won by Charles Weerts, Dries van Thor. 1 of them won by Timur Boguslavski and Raffaele Marciello. And it's Weerts and van Thor starting on pole position. So the Misano pedigree, if you like, is good in number 32 Audi, as the cars now work their way up through the turn 13, 14, 15 switchback at the end of the lap. They get themselves into that Noah's Ark 2x2 formation, ready for the start. The pace car, as it is, will peel into the pit lane. Then we will get set to go. As you look back from the Bentley, riding on board with Ulysse de Pauw. That is Jim Pla behind, as the field then gets ready to accelerate up towards the start of the race then, with there on the front row the 2 Audis, Charles Weerts and Leo Roussel side by side. It is WRT for number 32, it is Santalot for the blue and white car alongside of Leo Roussel, same brand, different teams. Then as the lights go green and we go racing, good start is made, look, from further back on the grid by the Mercedes of Timur Boguslavski, trying to find his way through the traffic. He's all over the curb on the outside line as they dive into turn 1, and there's a little bit of jostling in the middle of the pack involving Aurelien Panis there. They've got cars off the road, look, having to shortcut the turn 1, 2, 3 sequence rather than get themselves in strife. And out of all of that, Charles Weerts leads the way, but up into second place has come Albert Costa, and then in third, as they work their way up for the first time through turns 4 and 5, it is Leo Roussel, who's dropped back then from the start of the race.
Well, it's been a bit messy through 1, 2 and 3, and on the exit of 4 likewise you can see the McLaren getting all off track. Oh, up in there the Porsche ran over those yellow curbs, kicked the back of the car up, must have damaged the rear end of the car. Wow, that's the exit of turn 6 we were talking about. There is turn 8, you can run wide there, but Albert Costa, as always, combative at the start of a race, trying to make a move on Charles Vance, but having to be patient. He doesn't know what the word means.
He doesn't, and it's great to watch as long as he's the right side of the line, isn't he? Looking back again for the Bentley. Ulysse de Pauw got mugged, didn't he, at the start? He's dropped back, looking at the Benji Highties Ferrari. So Charles Weerts leads the way, but he's under huge pressure from Albert Costa right with him as they head toward the end of lap 1 there. Number 14, look to the outside line, Alex Fontana. Really fast part of the circuit. This, hanging everything on the line, up now towards turns 14, 15 for the first time, wriggling their way towards the end of lap 1. So Charles Weerts leads, but he's under huge pressure from Albert Costa. Look, bouncing all over the curb. Albert Costa, we were told just before the start of the race, not feeling 100%. Well, you wouldn't think it, would you? Look at the way he's going.
Maybe that's the way to finish this race. Finish ahead of the field, get the job done, and then you've got time.
Get your stint done quickly, pit early, having got into the lead. Look at this in the mid-pack, 3, almost 4 wide, down towards turn 1. And a really brave effort is made there by 114. Konsta Lapalainen in the car he shares with Jack Aitken. So Lapalainen trying to gain ground, and he's done so at the expense of Jordan Love, the Australian, as Finlay Hutchison in the white Audi comes up to have a go. Rick Brokers to the inside of him in the Mad Panda Mercedes, and that's Tuijala being given a rough ride by Fabien Laverne. Bit of hit and shoulder, and the Aston Martin came off worse, John.
Yes, there's not an awful lot of space left for this, especially if you're 3 abreast. coming up into turns 4 and 5. That sequence, one follows the other. Then you've got this brief straight out of turn 6, all the way down the curve of 7, then turn into turn 8.
It's a busy first lap and a half. Charles Weert's led over the line by 0.3 of a second. However, Albert Costa is throwing everything at this. Look, the two of them almost nose to tail as they run towards us now, heading up towards the kink at turn 12. Costa to the inside line. They're almost hidden, so close was he. Also charging on behind, as there are the two race leaders, is Jim Pla, who is doing good sector times. And look who is third. Leo Roussel is closing. Lukas Stolz, fourth, is joining the mix as well, having started 7th. Weert can't really get away, and the queue behind him is getting longer.
Nature of the racetrack, but Albert Costa definitely has his sights set on taking the lead away in the 52 Ferrari. Now, is that a driver error? Has he been shoved off? But that may well see full course yellow. In the meantime, it's Leo Roussel, who, but these 3 lead cars, right now is the one I'm thinking he can sit back and watch the fight going on for first or second place without getting involved, because if those 2 cars get too close together, neither will concede. Roussel could be in the pound seat.
He could be, but the danger, I suppose, for him is he gets stuck, and that's got stuck as well. That's Valentin Pierberg in the gravel as well. And there you go, 2 of them at the same part of the racetrack. I'll finish my point in a moment about Leo Roussel as you see Conte Lapalainen go through. I was going to suggest that Roussel, if he can't make progress, will be caught by Lukas Stolz. Fabien Laverne, they're getting roughed up, going out wide, and that just opens the floodgates, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you get contact coming down the curve, turn 7 into turn 8. There was, I don't know, there was bodywork rubbing on a tyre or not, and everybody slowed right down now. We're not seeing it on screen. There is a full course yellow that has been put into place. Everybody's got to slow down to 80 kilometers per hour around the racetrack to be able to get those 2 cars, the Mercedes and the Ferrari, removed safely from the gravel traps, and that will require snatch vehicles to do so.
Well, there is Louis Machiels, who's got going with rather dusty tyres, but I don't think that car's 100%, and we've still got to get the Mercedes out of the way. So full course yellow, we're inevitably going to end up with the safety car for the restart, which gives everybody just about time to catch their breath. But safety cars breed safety cars, do they not? And we've also lost a Porsche somewhere because Adrian Delina has not completed the first lap, so we lost the 911 somewhere.
David, that happened on the exit of turn 6. The car, well, there we see the 93 Ferrari getting tagged. The Porsche coming out of turn 6 was pushed out wide and went over the yellow, those sort of donut type curves. The back end of the car flicked up in the air. The nose was almost vertical to the ground. And I mentioned that probably there's rear end damage, certainly to the gearbox, if not the engine. And I suspect that's why the car, wow, what's that lying in the middle of the racetrack? Is that a wheel and tyre or just a tyre?
Certainly a tyre, isn't it? That's come off the Ferrari, I suspect, as it's pitted, so that needs moving as well. Number 20 is out of the gravel, so we're going to be another lap or so, aren't we, behind the safety car. There is a 3-tyred, 4-wheeled Ferrari, yeah, rubber completely off the metal.
Yeah, in that contact, clearly the tyre was cut down, and then haste to get back to the pits. That's the damage you do, potential damage you do to the back of your car, so Louis Machiels very keen to get back in as quickly as possible. Hopefully there isn't any residual damage to the rear, particularly the gearbox, when you're running on a bare rim on one side and a fully inflated tyre on the other side. Gearboxes and differentials don't like it.
They do not. The Ferrari is heading down the pit lane, and although we've not had too much green flag running, look what the fastest cars are in a straight line. The Bentley's 251 kilometres per hour from Nelson Panciatici and Ulysse de Pauw, and then you've got an Aston Martin, Thomas Tuiula, 250 kph. So the British brands looking very good in a straight line, aren't they?
Indeed, the trouble for Bentley is right now the best placed car is in 12th place for Ulysse de Pauw, so he's got an awful lot of work to do on a racetrack when you've got such equality of performance, especially overall, but in the straight line, even although the Bentleys are quickest. So there we're looking top speed further, 230 kilometers per hour, 228. Aston Martin, very good indeed.
Yeah, Alexander West, that's at the turn 11 kink, Curvoni, so it's one of those fast corners towards the end of the lap as the road starts to tighten and loop. But as we are behind at the moment, Ulysse de Pauw, 4th on the grid. He well and truly got roughed up at the start, falling into 12th as he was hung out to dry, couldn't get back into the traffic. So after a really good effort in qualifying, it's all unravelled quite early. So we've lost Adrian Delina, Let's have a look at the start, just also to make the point. Valentin Pierberg in that incident with Louis Maciel. So those are the three drivers in strife. Right, John, look at this for a start. The Bentley just got mugged.
It did. I mean, it just got him. He was wedged in. Cars certainly on the right-hand side, 2 cars, and then he can't even make the apex because he's being squeezed. A number of cars chose to cut across the inside of turn 2. Whether that will be given as a force majeure or whether they will be seen to have gained an advantage, well, that will be looked at. And look, now hopefully we're going to see what happened. This is still into turns 1, 2, coming through the inside. Is that Boguslavski? I can't quite see the number on the side of the Bentley or the Mercedes.
This is Boguslavski, certainly. Let's have a look.
You can't get much further to the left. He's got the concrete wall, so there he goes up the inside. Now the question is, did he make up track position in that move? If he did do, he would be required, in my view, to have to get that back. There's the rear view looking at the 88.
That's looking back from the Bentley, and yeah, Boguslavski again, he's just got nowhere to go, has he? He can't get into the traffic.
Indeed, I mean, the other cars you can see just further behind opting to do the same thing. They all rejoin. It's where they join back in is the question.
And this was how Giorgio Roda saw the start from the very back of the grid. We've now gone safety car, by the way, and you can see everybody scattering ahead of him, some on the racetrack, some having to find their own lines. So safety car now is deployed. The pace quickens as everybody catches up to the safety car, which was out because of that Ferrari and indeed the SPS Mercedes being in the gravel. So that's the Porsche.
What's that? Look at the rear of the car. I mean, that has just absolutely hammered the rear axle. The engine, of course, hangs out the back of the Porsche. So that could be extremely expensive for the Porsche team.
Yes, you're right. That was quite a ride, wasn't it? And that was what happened to Giorgio Roda, being tagged and turned around. So it's been, as you predicted, was it, a lively first few laps.
Always the way. I mean, you'll see incidents here at Misano, which you'll never see in any other racetrack. It is a busy 4.2 kilometers, 16 corners. And I like the gravel traps because it helps maybe drivers not using runoff areas to gain advantage. Of course, it means that you have to have a full Courcello, then a safety car intervention to get everything back into control. As we see the 66 attempt to racing Audi into the pit lane and not an awful lot of urgency. And you're going to put it up on the dollies, the car's going to go back into the garage, and that race is all run.
That was the one that was in the gravel this morning after Fabien Lavin's spin. I wonder whether it's a residual drama from that. Well, safety car is on track, and we get set then for the resumption of the race. As there, Charles Weerts is the race leader. Just to run through the order, it is Charles Weerts, number 32 Audi, ahead of Albert Costa. Third, Leo Roussel's Audi. In fourth place, Lucas Stolz Mercedes. Fifth, Mercedes, Jim Pla. Sixth, Audi number 26, Aurelian Panis. Seventh is the McLaren, Ollie Wilkinson, quick Brit at the wheel. Eighth, Frank Bird, who's really come of age this year in the WRT Audi. Ninth, 88 Mercedes, Timo Boguslavski. And 10th is the man that runs third in the championship, Alex Fontana. His co-driver, Ricardo Fella, is second in the championship because they've been in different cars for the first event and there's half a point between them.
In this lap.
Safety car in this lap. The voice you just heard is that of Alain Adon, who is the race director. So Alain wants to crack on with this. The road is clear. They've got a bit more warmth back into the tyres, so let's go racing. But safety cars can breed safety cars. Let's wait and see. They're all tightly bunched, and that run to turn one, John, is going to be very important indeed.
I just wonder whether Albert Costa is going to try and make another audacious move. He's got to make his move at the earliest opportunity once we go back to green, because Charles Weerts is going to do a good enough job to deny Costa any chance in terms of a realistic overtake. So he's got to make that move at the earliest opportunity. And of course, sitting in third place, Leo Roussel will have a grandstand view, as will Lucas Stolz in the fourth place Mercedes.
So the lights will be out imminently to say to the drivers, safety cars coming in this time. The message is on the screen. The teams will have seen it, they'll have told the drivers, and so now the pace quickens. and heading up towards the resumption of the race. Leading the Silver Cup at the moment, number 87 Mercedes, Jim Pla at the wheel of that car, the one that he shares with Konstantin Terashenko. So you've got Pro-Am, you've got Silver, and of course the overall situation as now they all bunch up ready for the resumption.
Safety car, lights off.
Lights off on the safety car. It will make its way now up towards the exit of turn 15, and when he's ready to go, Charles Weerts will floor the throttle, try to get the jump on Albert Costa now, and he's gone, and indeed he's managed to steal a length.
Green flag.
Green flag wave then. We're racing once more at Misano, and Charles Weerts is the race leader, and as he comes across the line, what advantage has he managed to get over Albert Costa on that restart? It is 0.4 of a second, with Leo Russell still there in third place, and a dive to the inside against Frank Bird by Timur Boguslavski in the Mercedes. This is Boguslavski's view, but he couldn't gain the place, John.
No, but just going back to the start, that was a smart move by Charles Weerts. He got on the throttle hard as he went into turn 14, then through 15, and gained an advantage. That 0.4 of a second might not seem an awful lot, but it was crucial that Charles Weerts got into turns 1, 2 and 3 ahead of the 163 Lamborghini, because otherwise Albert Costa would have been all over him.
So now people that are in the body of the field have got to try and either make a plan to go forward on the racetrack or do it on the pit stops, because don't forget, if you are running in Silver or the overall contest, the pit stops are as quick as you can. Only in Pro-Am are they done to a regulation time, which is 77 seconds. But the drama of the pit stops here has extra importance because you can win or lose in the pits. Look at Stoltz, really going for it.
Yeah, and he got a good run out of turn 10. Gets up alongside Russell, but can't quite make it stick. Russell just had a half a nose ahead of the Mercedes, managed to consolidate that third place, gets the nose tucked in, so comes out of turn 14. The sprint up to the left-hand kink at 15. Watch you don't overrun on the outside. We saw the Lamborghini getting away a little bit wide in the opening lap, up and around in the air. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, covered by the basic handkerchief,
which we might yet need, because it's getting a bit leery for the lead, isn't it? Costa is on a mission. He's done the fastest lap of the race. Albert Costa in second place, a 1:34.8. He is now 0.3 back from Charles Weerts, and in turn getting away, look, from Leo Russell, who is under attack from Stoltz, who's under attack from Pla, and then Aurelien Panis rounds out the top 6. But this is a Costa Espresso, the way that he's going. He is throwing everything at this for the lead.
He's doing all he can, and the lead 2 cars are making that mini break from third place Leo Russell, whose focus really now has got to be on making sure he doesn't offer up any opportunities to the lead Mercedes, Lucas Stoltz in 4th place.
So looking back from the Bentley, Ulysse de Pauw still mired down in 12th place. That is Benjahaitis in the Ferrari behind him, the Rinaldi racing car that was out of luck in race 1 at Zandvoort, going better here. Behind Haitis is Panciatici in the other Bentley, so that Ferrari sandwiched between the Bentleys right now and unable to find a way by. Now, Leo Russell has just done an absolute best in the first sector. He's closing back onto the tail of the race leaders. And look at the speed being built up by the Bentley, and look at him get away from the Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting back in the Ferrari, you're pushing your foot through the firewall, you can do nothing. The Bentley, we've seen it in the last 3 races, just powers away on the long, fast parts of the racetrack. And what do? You've just got to be patient, think about it, work it out, just as Albert Costa's doing. What can I do with the Audi? The Audi has been the dominant brand so far here this weekend in all the testing, the practicing and the qualifying. But look, how close can he get into turn 1? Against for Leo Russell having to defend, but Lucas Stoltz trying to go up the inside, forces the issue. And also watch Jim Pla, he's going to try and get a bit of the action as Russell had to compromise his exit coming out of turn 3.
And Pla goes to the inside here, look, coming up towards turns 4 and 5, can't do it there. Aurelien Panis is right with them, out wide goes Russell, and Panis gains 2 places. Brilliant opportunistic move. Jim Pla gets 1 of them at least, and down 2 falls Leo Russell. You could see that coming, couldn't you, as he was just on the wrong line for turn 4.
Yeah, it all began really going into turn 1. What dived on the inside, the McLaren trying to make its move. All began in the entry to turn 1, and it all played out through 2, 3 and all the way up into turn 4. But the big winner, as you point out, was Aurelien Panis, who was sitting back in the armchair having a great view. But look at the congestion, the traffic going up into turn 10. 2 Bentleys, nose to tail, Lamborghini in the outside. Can it stick around the outside, 114? I must say, this is good motor racing.
It is absolutely good motor racing, and Albert Costa has done another absolute best middle sector time to try to close on that man that leads, Charles Weerts. Look at the way the top two have escaped now, but Lukas Stolz third. He's going to be on a mission to try to bring that Mercedes that had a win at Magny-Cours back into the mix. So we've had, thus far, 4 different winners out of the 4 Sprint Cup races. And over the timing line, Audi versus Lamborghini. But the one to watch now is going to be Stolz, because look, he's got clear road ahead of him. The gap second to third is, wait for it to come on the screen, 2.1 seconds. Stolz on a mission. They dive down through turn 1. And you look there, the Allied Racing Porsche, the surviving Porsche, goes through. 77 is the Barwell Motorsports class leading Lamborghini in Pro-Am. But right now, as you can see, Miguel Ramos coming under attack because he's got the opposition queued up behind him. But it's looking good at the moment for the Lamborghini. 52 Ferrari, Louis Mathieu's back on track, but he's a lap down after his dramas in the gravel and in the pits. So although Pro-Am running nose to tail, they're a lap apart. So it's looking pretty good for Barwell right now, isn't it?
Indeed, it is. I just hope that the message is going through that don't worry about the Ferrari being behind you. It's a lap down. That's where the team does play its role. I have to say, I'm looking at Charles Weerts. I'm impressed with what he's been doing because he's under continuous pressure from a real hard charging Albert Costa, and he's managed to maybe gain a couple of tenths of a second through the middle part of the section onto the back straight. So Albert Costa is seeing, even though he's splitting up purple sector after sector, he's still not being able to seriously threaten and challenge the leading Audi.
So Lukas Stolz still charging in third, Albert Costa pressing on in second place, but Weerts responding. He last time did the fastest lap of the race. Good battle pack developing for fourth. Aurélien Panis, Audi, Jim Clark, Mercedes in the middle. Leo Roussel having, of course, been on the front row, now down in sixth, but Roussel trying to regroup, sort himself out and fight back. And then in seventh place right now, Ollie Wilkinson in the McLaren.
Yeah, the McLaren luckily running in clear air so Wilkinson can focus on those 3 cars that are directly ahead of him and just get his head down and do the job. I mean, all he can do is just catch up to the tail of the 25 Audi Leo Roussel, who did, as you say, start in the front row, but got muscled out big time up into turn 4 a couple of laps ago. And Ollie Wilkinson would have seen that, wondering, well, if I can get under the tail of that Audi, can I apply a pressure, maybe gain a position just by force of power of thought almost.
Now turn 9, let's see who is the fastest there through the right-hander that you can see the car streaming towards now. Aurélien Panis is the bravest at 168 kph from Lukas Stolz and Charles Weerts, and then Ulysse de Pauw, and before he had his dramas that brought him into the pit lane, Fabien Levan quick through there, the 5th fastest in the number 66 Temto Audi. But right now Weerts is the race leader and Lukas Stolz is the fastest man on the racetrack. Stolz has done the fastest lap, so the gap first to third is 2.6 seconds, and that's well worth keeping an eye on because we're only about 4 minutes or so now for the pit window opening, of course.
Yeah, very critical now. What will WRT do? They've got the lead car in the lead, so I would keep it out because they've managed to gain 0.2 of a second advantage over second place Albert Costa. I would assume that maybe Emil Free Racing will keep Costa out. There you can see it's a visual gap. Previously, the Lamborghini was almost under the rear wing of the lead Audi. Now there's the best part coming across the line, up to 8 tenths. So that's just every lap taking hundredths of seconds out of a lap and gaining almost now a second of advantage over the second place Lamborghini.
So that gap going up 8 tenths of a second now. Now what about Stolz behind? His last lap was a 34.3. That means that Stolz is lapping faster than the 2 ahead of him, although Weerts now does an absolute best sector 1. You're looking at Jim Clark, number 87 Mercedes, and he's in this invidious position of trying to attack and defend at the same time. He wants to get past Panis, but he's got to defend from Leo Roussel. But Clark is on his toes, isn't he, trying to find a way past the Audi ahead.
Yes, I don't think Jim Plough is going to be too concerned about Leo Roussel, but he will be focusing a lot on how he can get it past the Audi directly ahead of him. There we are on board with Timo Boguslavski in the 88, which is currently in 9th place, and he's only under half a second behind Frank Bird in the number 31 Audi directly. You can see the yellow and black, white, yellow and black. Now, a little adjustment of the cockpit coming down through turns 12, then the brake into 13. Well, there isn't a brake. It's actually on the apex you get on the brakes. Very easy to run wide there and just open the door up, that a car that's following behind you just slide up the inside, take away the bit of racetrack. But this is a battle. Maybe Leo Roussel's more combative than I thought a lap ago, and he's right back in this battle for that 4th, 5th and 6th place.
Another fastest lap set by Charles Weerts. He's now over a second clear of Costa. And you're right about Leo Roussel, because look, he has a cheeky look to the inside at turn 2. It doesn't come to anything, but he's not taking this line down, is he? He might have got roughed up, but he's on his toes, and class winner in LMP style sports cars, now coming into GT racing. He wants to get back ahead of Pla, who now does have to defend, and look, he's dropped away from Panis.
Incident between car 188 and 93 in turn 10 under investigation, and incident between 108 and 30 in turn 2 under investigation.
So lots of incidents being looked at from race control. One of them was the Giorgio Roda Ferrari being tagged around, and the other involves 108 Bentley of Nelson Pangiatici and number 30 Benji Goethes Audi. Before Alain Adal updated us on all of that, John, you were going to make a point about this battle, I think.
Yes, I thought that now Roussel has consolidated, got everything back in control. His thinking is now going forward. He's trying to get back to that 5th place Jim Pla, who was challenging Aurelien Panis in 4th place. Now he's got to think, oh, maybe I need to be more defensive. I've got to maybe limit my attack, but not open up opportunities to the Audi behind me. So it's a lot about thinking where you are on the racetrack and where you placed your car. And don't make any schoolboy errors, because there are no girls in this race.
Over the line then goes Charles Weerts, the race leader, a second to the good from Albert Costa. Lucas Stolz running in 3rd place, but at the end of this lap the pit window will be open. Now, are we going to see Albert Costa bail if he's not feeling very well, and as quick as possible get Norbert Siedler into that car? There's Benja Heites in the Rinaldi Ferrari, who's managed to get himself up the order, clear the Bentleys, and yes, there's my answer. Norbert Siedler is ready, so expect the 2nd place car, John, to be first in.
Could well be. Maybe it's an out of necessity, maybe it's just a very good piece of pit strategy. The key will be, where will that car, that Lamborghini, if it does come into the end, what will be lap 13, where will it rejoin the race? I don't see any reason why Charles Weerts would want to make a pit stop at this early stage, but for reasons we've already discussed, I can understand why Albert Costa might want to make a hasty entrance into the pit lane.
So we'll see. Pit stop's imminent. The window is now open. 35 minutes of the race to go. Aurelien Panis there, who, of course, we saw in the Lexus last year, the Tech 1 car, but he's going nicely in this Santalot run Audi. Jim Pla, always a weapon, whether it's a GT3 or a GT4 Mercedes. Jim crawling all over the back of him. As to the pit lane, dives Albert Costa as predicted, so the Lamborghini is in. It gets him out of the race, it gets him out of the traffic as well, and it also puts Lucas Stolz into 2nd place.
Yeah, that for Lucas Stolz is even better, because all he has to do now is just laser himself in to the rear of Charles Weerts. No easy task, but the progress that Lucas Stolz has been making, currently 2.6 seconds as they came across at the end of lap 14. So let's keep an eye and see up until the point where both will be forced in to make the respective driver changes. But in fact, two Lamborghinis have come, in the case of Albert Costa, handing over to Norbert Siedler. That is an important pit stop. It's a very early pit stop and putting a lot of responsibility in the hands of Norbert Siedler. Come on, get the car rolling. Oh, what's the problem? Is stop, go. Was that bad information? And that has cost them loads and loads of time.
And the fans that are here, which is great to see, enjoying all of this, but Norbert Siedler will not have enjoyed that. It was as though the car was released too soon and they had to stop him and go again. But confusion there, which distorts everything in the cockpit and costs valuable seconds. Don't forget, they're not doing those pit stops to a time. They're natural pit stops, quick as you can. But there was something that meant the car controller had to say, no, stop. Now you can go. So we'll try and unravel exactly what that was, but it's cost a fraction of time for the Lamborghini. And there is the race leader, briefly off the road, ever so slightly wide there was Weerts.
Yes, he was, and he's in the pit lane as well. So he has given up the lead, as has second place Mercedes. So the lead is now, assuming he doesn't come into the pit stop, into the pit, is going to go to Jim Pla in what was third place. Now is going to possibly wait and see what other cars coming in.
So remember, the pit stops are for a driver change and the change of tyres that has to be done by only 2 mechanics. And WRT are virtually at pit out, so as soon as Dries Van Thor accelerates away, he's straight up to speed. Charles Weers that has to do the crawl down the full pit lane. Tyre change goes on for both the Audi and the Mercedes, John.
Yes, and it's always, I feel, if you are at pit lane exit as WRT are, there is an advantage. It's maybe a marginal one on the stopwatch, but look, they're rolling and the Mercedes is still, well, it's just off its axle jacks now. So again, an advantage to WRT. They got their car rolling. Okay, they're in fractionally earlier than the Mercedes. It'll be interesting to see when they complete their outlaps what that gap is and whether they will after this round of pit stop. In the case of the 163 Lamborghini, that pit stop, for me, that was a miscommunication between what the pit signaler was doing and what was a message he thought he was getting. But he did go, then he stopped, and then the pit board came out, wait, and then he went again. Look at the gap now. The gap has doubled between the Audi and the Mercedes.
How about this? As you see the Audis there, trading places, 26 versus 25 at Santalok. It is now Christopher Haase in 25, but in 26 is Fred Vervisch, and Vervisch goes ahead. But for the 3 leading cars, how about this? Norbert Siedler's pit stop, which we saw was a confused one, 1 minute 16.3 seconds. Lucas Stoltz, 1 minute 7.4. Weerts to Van Thor, 1 minute 2.3 seconds. Much quicker than the 2 cars he was fighting with earlier on for the lead, and a 1 minute 16 pit stop for Norbert Siedler is a disaster.
Oh, I mean, it's not game over. If they can finish in the top 6, that will be a result, and what went on will have to be by the team certainly analysed, because I think it was a miscommunication. It doesn't matter. The team will have to work it out, because they have possibly blown any opportunity of getting on the podium. A car at one point that could have potentially challenged or had the lead of this race. Now, if it finishes, I think, in the top 6, that will be the best they can hope for. 30 minutes of this race remaining, and it is as frenetic as ever.
But there are 2 elements to that pit stop, aren't there, for the 163 Lamborghini? The first one is, what was the confusion? And the other element for me is, where did all the time go? Because that lifting of the lollipop and stopping the car again, that wasn't 14 seconds worth of a stop that they've lost against this car. Where did all that time go? What else was going wrong in that pit stop? Now, they're going through is number 32. That is going to become the leading car once more. And let's have a look at the 163 pit stop. So the engine fires up, the car goes and stops, and then it has to fire up again. That's not 14 seconds worth, it's a chunk, but there's something else that's gone wrong there.
No, that in itself isn't 14 seconds. A part of that time could be the pace of Norbert Siedler on the outlap, because some drivers are inherently quicker on an outlap. Whatever it is, it was a very poor effort by a team that had been absolutely outstanding all year. We saw what happened. The thing went up on the car, then it came back down again. The pedal went up, then it came down. Yeah. So what went on, why it went on, that has to be something the team will look at and realise you cannot afford that kind of error. In the meantime, Dries Van Thor, currently in 7th place, but ultimately will be our race leader, has just set fastest sector time in sector 3. And one would assume that the gap between 1st and 2nd, which is now Maro Engel in real time, is up to 8.4 seconds. That's a massive amount of time. Dries Van Thor has almost had the gift horse and didn't have to look it in the mouth to get what he's got.
I understand from Gemma Scott in the pit lane that one of the reasons that time was lost and why the lollipop had to come back down was there was another car that we couldn't see coming down the pit lane. So they had to wait for the traffic to go by. So that in part explains where a lot of the time went, but even so, it wasn't that quick a stop, allowing for that. Now, let's just get back to this battle. Konstantin Terashenko is under attack from Ben Barnicoat in the McLaren, who comes up to the outside line. Is he going to be able to drive all the way around the outside of the Mercedes? No, he's not. The door is open. Rochiro Tomita tries to get up on the inside line as well. Look, they're in the WRT Audi. Fantastic racing. Ben Barnicoat on the outside line. Ben, a big fan of and an occasional race winner in Briscoe Formula 1 stock cars, needs to get his elbows out here, otherwise he's going to lose ground. At 88, Raffaele Marciello is another man on the mission, John.
Yes, indeed. So that was very nip and tuck. But Barnicoat's got the inside line into turn 8, and he can consolidate. He can allow the McLaren to sweep out and force the Audi to back out of it. But watch Raffaele Marciello. He is the driver of this quartet of cars that always finds a space. If he doesn't find it, he makes it.
So Marciello then hunting down place after place after place. The race leader on the road, Nelson Panciatici, has just pitted, and so too has the 93 Giorgio Roda Ferrari. So what we have on the track is now starting to become the overall order again, and Emil Frey Racing saying no, nothing else delayed us in the pits, it was just the traffic. So that's what they say, we'll go with that, but it's been a very, very costly bit of traffic, that 14 seconds lost in the pit stops against 32.
Well, we know how valuable pit stop time is, and on a circuit that is as difficult and busy to find a way around a competitive car. You can maybe get away with it at Spa 24. You've got 24 hours to recover. You've got a long racetrack, but on a tight 4.2 kilometres, 16 turn corner which flows one into the other. Up the inside, wow, bit of hip and shoulder there from the Lamborghini, and that is Riccardo Feller, and he didn't really offer up any alternatives. He said, I'm coming through, and he made it stick. So good pass by Feller.
Absolutely right, Giro Tomita. Make your own arrangements. I am coming by. Right, the race order is Dries Van Thor then replacing Charles Weerts ahead of Mauro Engel, who has replaced Lucas Stoltz. Fred Verviche is now third, having replaced Aurélien Panis. Fourth, Christopher Haase. He's taken over from Leo Roussel. Fifth is this battle, really. Konstantin Terashenko is ahead of Ben Barnicoat, ahead of Norbert Siedler, ahead of us, and we're riding with Raffaele Marciello. And there is Marciello, who in turn has got the charging Riccardo Feller behind him for 9th, and Tomita is 10th.
Kicking up the dust in the exit of turn 10. Then the blast all the way down this dogleg straight at Misano. Circuit used to run in the opposite direction, by the way. It was adjusted or altered a number of years ago, so imagine doing it the other way around. Very exciting thought.
It is indeed, isn't it? And it is a circuit that plays host to cars, to bikes and to truck racing. It's a busy facility, is the Misano circuit, and the drivers like it. And what's really pleasing is to see that we've got some fans as well in selected parts of the circuit. Right, out of turn 16, over the timing line goes Feller, who is on the back of Marciello, who is on the back of Norbert Siedler. But he's not closing because he's defending Siedler. He's not closing on Ben Barnicoat's McLaren up the road. 25 minutes of the race to go. Quick look at the lead gap. It's 8 seconds, Van Thor to Mauro Engel.
Well, this little battle going on for the Norbert Siedler, currently 7th, to get up to 6th place. He's got to find a way around Ben Barnicoat. He's 1.2 seconds behind. Further down the field, Jack Aiken in the number 114. Emil Frey, they're all over the place, these Emil Frey Lamborghinis. Just set past a sector time in that final sector.
So Riccardo Feller hard at work. He is 9th. Jack Aitken is 11th. Jack's now got the best lap of the race to his name. It was Mauro Engel, now it's Jack Aitken, who doesn't have much Misano experience of late, that's for sure. But Dries Van Thor, as I say, the race leader, 8 seconds to the good, and 5 of those were gained in the pits because they were just under 5 seconds faster by 10th than the Engel-Stoltz Mercedes. So yet again, WRT in its pit work comes out top of the game. Absolutely exemplary effort in the pits.
So Siedler, Marciello, Fuller, and Raffaele Marciello looks to make a move, but it was never ever realistic. But put pressure on Siedler. Keep him looking in his mirror. Stop him looking ahead. Get into his head. Make him think you're going one way, then back the other way. Work the guy over. We're almost in a boxing ring. You've got 4 ropes around the ring.
So Marciello thunders over the line, and he is still stuck in 8th place. BOP, the balanced performance, equates all of these different cars. And there, as you see, 159 running wide off the circuit and back on again, Nicolai Schiergaard. That BOP means that it is, at times, hard to overtake because the cars are so evenly matched. You've got to try and force a mistake out of the driver ahead of you.
Well, Mad Panda. Oh, contact, and that's what happened. So the Bentley and the Aston getting together in turn 16. And Mad Panda are going to be happy. Rick Roy, because was that Ezekiel Perez comeback, will have liked that. Sat back and saw 2 places, literally just gifted to him.
So 107 Bentley is in the gravel. Pierre-Alexandre Jean being tagged into that. We saw the Aston Martin Rejoy, but it is off again, probably with left front damage there, because the car does not want to turn. And so the Aston is trying to get out of the gravel, but if the Bentley is stuck in the gravel at turn 16...
Full course yellow in 20 seconds.
Alan, you have taken the words out of my mouth. I was about to say, are we ending up for a full course yellow? Well, the answer is yes. We're heading that way. We've now got 2 cars stranded trackside. So
full course yellow in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow now.
And that full course yellow with 2 cars to retrieve surely is going to end up being a safety car for the restart, which is going to be really good for Engel and others, because it'll bring the gaps down, won't it?
Absolutely, because we'll have that safety car. Everybody will be nose to tail. All the good work done by Charles Weitz and the WRT team, Dries van Voor behind the wheel now, all that's for nothing, because they will be nose to tail when they come through those penultimate corners when the track goes green. I've got to do it all over again, but it's opportunities for Maro Engel, for Fred Vervisch, Christopher Haase, Konstantin Tereshchenko, Ben Barnicoat 6th place in the McLaren, and of course Norbert Siedler, the driver. Look, it's never going to work. You can't dive up the inside like that. That was just, I mean, let me put it bluntly, a dumb move.
So there, chaps, be told. But I'm afraid to say it has put 2 cars effectively out of the race. The Bentley in the gravel, the Aston limped away with its damage, and that car out of the race.
188, 5-second time penalty added to the end of the race.
Now 188 is Johnny Adam, and we'll try and get to the bottom of why that is. It is for contact against Giorgio Roda early on in the race. So as their 159 Aston Martin is in the wars, 188 being given a penalty from the very start of the race. So it's not been a good lap for Garage 59. So there's the Bentley being retrieved. 5-second time penalty for the Johnny Adam, Alexander West Aston. And of course, with everyone bunching up when we eventually end up going safety car, those 5 seconds are going to be harder to pull back in the remaining, effectively, third of the race, aren't they?
Well, I mean, I'm glad that we've got a yellow flag. We're going to go a full course yellow. We can catch our breath, but look back at some of the highlights.
Well, this is what Alexander West is being given the penalty. It was for that tag on Roda that turned the Ferrari around, so that's why 5 seconds is being added to the Aston Martin.
Yeah, I mean, it was never an overtaking opportunity, and you put yourself into that closing gap as Alexander West did. All of a sudden, he can go nowhere. He can't slow down any more quickly. The tag, the contact occurred, and the 93 Ferrari got spun around, and that's the if you don't execute your overtakes in an appropriate and clean manner, you do run the risk of being penalised.
Well, the grumpy Pierre-Alexandre Jean trudging away. It's really not been that car's race, has it? 4th on the grid, Bautista Powell lost a heap of places early on, and that then in turn puts his co-driver, his teammate, into the pack for his stint, and that in turn ended up with contact that's put the car out of the race. Hopefully it will be back looking quick for tomorrow. The incident between number 30, which for the first stint was Benji Goethe, and 108, first stint Nelson Panciatici, that's going to be looked at after the race, so penalties will be applied if there are any to be applied post-race.
Wonder how soon they can get the Aston Martin. I'm not sure whether if it found a gap in the barrier. It looked as if it stopped abruptly, so it may have found a barrier, but whether there is a gap there the car could be pushed back into as opposed to having to be picked up by one of the snatch vehicles we wait to see.
Well, Raffaele Marciello here comes over the line, but we're going to end up going safety car, aren't we, to bunch them up to get the race restarted. There it is, it's on the track already. We'll go safety car in a moment. The safety car can go faster than the delta speed under a full course yellow. This is the point in all of this. So if it's a very brief full course yellow, you can restart at will. But if it's going to be a longer one, then you need that safety car out to get the cars to go faster, to bring the tyre temperatures and pressures up, and it's all for safety in that respect on the restart. The downside is they're all bunched up again, but in terms of tyre temp, it's
safety car procedure, safety car procedure.
Right, so busy race director now tells the teams we're going safety car procedure now. So straight away, Dries van Voor speeds up, and straight away his lead gap comes down.
Yes, well, he's got the rest of the field all piling in behind him. Has a quick look in the mirror and sees, oh yes, it is Maro Engel in the number 6 Mercedes. So how long will the safety car be out? Well, it will be out until effectively the entire field gets into that snake of that chain of cars and is steamed the right time. A lot of effort going into the steering to keep that front tire temperature up. Likewise, he'll be playing with the brake pedal. Everybody around the racetrack, look how much movement there is around the racetrack to keep that load going into, particularly in the front tire, keep temperatures up. But when you have to lean on it, going into turns 1, 2 and 3, you want your car to be at the level it would be under normal racing conditions.
So you can see now the cars are going quicker, they are bunching up, and this is going to be a real dash to the flag, isn't it? Because we're going to be probably within the last 15 minutes by the time we go green once more, and it's going to be a very, very busy final few laps, that's for sure.
Well, the only thing I will say is with Dries van Voor behind the wheel of the lead Audi, and Audi has essentially, over the 3 days of running we've had here, been the lead brand. It's the brand that's been consistently at the top of timing and scoring in all the sessions we've had. The favour would go towards also leading is a major advantage. He can determine at which point, once the safety car pulls off, when he goes. He can wait until he comes across the start-finish line, but he's not going to do that. He's going to go, in my opinion, at the point when he's probably accelerating out of turn 14 or at the latest out of 15. I would go early and try and steal an advantage on Maro Engel and then capitalise on it in clear air when I've got my car, my tires, everything back to the level I want it to be at.
Enrique Chavez, you just saw there for Barwell, leading in the Pro-Am battle from Johnny Adam. The margin is now 2 seconds on the road. Well, add 5 to Johnny Adams' time. He's got some work to do now to get ahead and pull away by 5 seconds for the Barwell squad, the Mark Lemmer, Chris Needell team. Right, so the cars get set to go racing once more. We're going to be within the last 15 minutes of the race. It is Dries van Voor who is in the lead, looking to try to get a second victory of the season, to be the first double winner of a Sprint Cup race this year. And Maro Engel, who is also looking to be the first double winner, has got other ideas about this, and you can see the urgency being put into his Mercedes.
Safety car, lights off.
What about Fred Vervish in third place, John? We can't rule him out, can we?
Never, ever rule out Fred Vervish. I mean, he's sitting behind Maro Engel. He's got Christopher Haase on his tail. That was the car that has been quick all weekend. So the two Audis, 26 for Vervish, 25 for Haase, absolutely on their toes as we go aboard with Dries van Voor coming through turn 14. Now, when is he going to go? When's he going to go? When are you going to go?
Green flag, green flag.
And he's gone.
Well, he accelerates away. With information.
You could see him, couldn't you, on that onboard shot, looking in his mirror, looking to see where Engel was, what Engel was up to, and even a quick weave there, look, down the pit straight. Is that on?
And when he's doing it simply to keep the tire, get the tire up to working temperature. Oh, McLaren, big challenge came. And that was something that, Ben Barnicoat, I didn't think anticipated, but that's what you have to do in the opening laps. Was that contact as the 88 Mercedes swung right across the front of Ricardo Feller.
So Feller is trying to find his way through traffic. Norbert Siedler, I think, is the one losing out there, isn't he? Because Siedler goes wide, and the 163 Lamborghini in danger of losing places. All the Emil Frey cars are stacked up together.
Incident between car 159 and 107 in turn 16 under investigation.
Which is the one that brought out the safety car. Right, look at this. Vervish versus Haase, the two Audis absolutely side by side for third place, but Fred Vervish just hangs on to the position, or does he?
Well, he's got the position right now. It's who comes off turn 10 quickest, but Christopher Haase's on the inside coming down the straight. Fred Vervish moving over to the middle of the racetrack. Can he consolidate? No. Good effort by Christopher Haase. Did a great job. He did all those hard yards going into turn 9 and then on the exit of turn 10 and has made up a position. Good racing between the two Audi drivers.
And look who is right up with them all of a sudden. Ben Barnicoat on this restart lap has got ahead of Konstantin Terashenko's Mercedes, and he's absolutely checked out, and he's right up with the Audis. So Ben Barnicoat having a great restart. All of a sudden, the chances for the Motorsport McLaren looking a lot more promising because he's cleared some of the traffic and he's caught up to the back of Verviche. I'm not suggesting a podium is guaranteed, but Ben is absolutely flying.
Well, this is what motor racing's all about when you get three drivers racing. It says on the lid, motor racing. These three drivers, they're racing. And went for Van Barnicoat. He needs to be cautious. He can't be, let's say, diving down the inside of Fred Verviche. You don't dive down the inside. You make your overtake assertively, but not diving and hoping he's going to give you room.
Fred Verviche has been around too long to be sold dummies as well, hasn't he, in most cases. Right, what about Raffaele Marciello? He's up into 7th after Norbert Siedler ran out wide and lost ground. So Marciello with a massive bite of curb there, tries to get past his teammate Konstantin Terashenko. Couldn't do it coming out of 8 up towards 9. Goes for the outside. He's not going to go all the way around the outside, surely. Well, he's going to try. Can he get the cut back to the inside line coming off the corner? Go for it, Raffaele. There's the gap on the inside. The 2 ACA ASP Mercedes are side by side. Marciello has got the inside for the next right-hander, and he's got the job done, or has he? They're still side by side. Surely now the road is going to go for Raffaele Marciello. Yes, he's got the job done. That was brave stuff.
Well, it again all began on the exit, in this case out of turn 8. He took that much tighter line in the middle of the corner. He then got up alongside on the inside of the exit out of turn 10, and he then was in the pound seat. Of course, Terashenko tried to come back, but he was on the wrong part of the racetrack, and ultimately, you'd have to say it's a Silver Cup car for Terashenko. It's a pro car for Marciello. 2 different drivers, 2 different categories, 2 different races. So it was in the interest of ACA to let the Raffaele Marciello 88 Mercedes take that position away on the road, because he is in a battle for his championship in the pro category.
Yes, good point, because Terashenko, 87, is still leading the Silver Cup. Now there is Norbert Siedler, just ahead of Ricardo Feller. Now Feller is another silver, so ideally he ought to be released from behind the sister Lamborghini and go after that Mercedes. Feller all over the curb. The lead gap, by the way, is going up slightly. Vanthor getting away a little bit more from Engel. Christopher Haase is there in 3rd place, and Haase is closing on the Mercedes, so we could have a battle for 2nd before the very end, and the end is just under 11 minutes away.
We're spoiled for choice. I don't know where you're going to look. You've got this battle going on. You've got the battle here at the front. The Audi is still leading the Mercedes 2nd place. Christopher Haase just under a second behind. You can't even see the Audi. It's so close to the rear of Mauro Engel's Mercedes.
We're working lap 27 at Misano. It is race 1 of the weekend in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup. And it is a race being led by Dries Vanthor in the Audi, ahead of that car, the white Mercedes, driven by Mauro Engel. The Mercedes AMG Team TalkSport WRT entry presses on. 3rd, Christopher Haase's Audi. 4th is Fred Verviche's Audi. 5th, Ben Barnicoat McLaren. But look who is a-coming. 6th and catching is Raffaele Marciello. We're into the last 10 minutes now.
Yeah, as well with those, well, 9 and a bit miles, it turns out, but it doesn't matter, because when you've got Raffaele Marciello on a charge, he's just set fastest sector time, sector 3 at the end of this lap. So on lap 27, the charge from the Italian in the 88 Mercedes is on. Again, Ben Barnicoat focused right on the back of the rear of Fred Verviche's Audi, but you must not discount what Raffaele Marciello is capable of generating. Even though he's running down in 6th place, he thinks 5th place is a lot more attractive than 6th.
And another place gained lower down, we've not mentioned him yet in the race even. Kelvin van der Linde took over from Benji Goethe and has got the number 30 WRT Audi, that's the Gulf liveried car, up into 11th place. So lap 28 we are currently on. Dries Vanthor edging away up front. Engel 2nd, Haase 3rd. And you can see lower down the order that there are still lots of battles to be resolved, and they're going to go right the way down to the wire. Konstantin Terashenko there, coming towards us, is the leader of the Silver Cup.
Incident between car 27 and car 52 in T14 will be investigated after the race. Incident is under investigation, will be investigated after the race.
Marciello, 27 at the moment is Marcus Winkelhock, and 52 is now Andrea Bertolini. So that's what's going to be looked at, or those cars are going to be looked at post-race. Right, leader goes by. Vanthor to Engel, it's gone up to 1.3 seconds. Dries Vanthor still looks like he's got the measure of the Mercedes. in terms of top speed in the second stint, it is Stefan Richelme, again in that grunt-and-go Bentley number 108, fastest in a straight line, 257 km/h, ahead of Riccardo Feller's Lamborghini. Johnny Adams, Aston Martin, 251, same as Patrick Kujala, who's taken over the Rinaldi Ferrari, and then Jack Aitken, who's taken over number 114 and has done the fastest lap of the race. And that, just to make the point about Jack Aitken, is impressive, John. First year, of course, of GT3 racing.
I think I've become a big fan of Jack Aitken. We've seen him thoroughly enjoy his time racing for Emil Frey Racing. Another factor, that 4-kilometre advantage that Richelme's Bentley has over the rest of the field doesn't seem like it's a large advantage, 4 kilometres per hour, but believe me, when the level of performance via the look at turn, this is coming through down, this is turn 12, coming down the backstretch, so 233 kilometres. But when you've got an advantage like that over the rest of the competitors, it makes your life at this part of the racetrack an awful lot easier.
Yeah, the top speed, 233 through this corner, the best one from Stefan Richelme. Now look at this little battle pack. That's Norbert Siedler, just ahead of Feller, just ahead of Jack Aitken. This, for a team manager, must be hell on wheels. All three of his cars, nose to tail, all fighting for position.
Release, car 38 and car 188 under investigation. Pit stop release 38, 188 under investigation.
No stopping the race control team at the moment. They are very busy. Right, look at this. 3 Lamborghinis. They're all from the same team, and they all want the same place, John.
Yeah, I think really, if you're running the team, you have to turn around to Norbert Siedler and say, look, let Riccardo Feller go, because we're allowing Konstantin Terechchenko in the Silver Cup Mercedes to get away. We want to get on terms. Look, what are you going to do? It's like shuffling a pack of cards. These 3 Lamborghinis, no one wants to concede because, well, they're racing drivers.
Number 31, the Frank Bird Roichi Tomita Audi has just been formally retired from the race, as there is a challenge to the inside. The 2 Lamborghinis absolutely together as they come off the corner. The trade of places happens. So 114 moves through. Jack Aitken goes ahead of Norbert Siedler now. And the danger out of all of this is that Kelvin van der Linde gains ground as well. Look in the number 30 Audi. That's another car absolutely flying.
Yes, of course, Norbert Siedler has been slightly wrong-footed up at the far end of the racetrack, so he was offline getting onto the dirtier part of the racetrack. You pick up whatever rubbish is on that outside line, chokes up your tyres, and of course you do not want to have that Kelvin van der Linde. Look at him, he's already looking to get alongside, and he does, and he's taken that position away. All the consequence of what happened a few corners further back up the circuit, turns 9 and 10. Kelvin van der Linde will take that every day, all day long. Thank you very much.
And he is absolutely flat out, isn't he? Any risk, any tenth to be found, he's going for it. 5 minutes are on the clock here at Misano. Vanthoor is 1.6 seconds ahead, so you've got Audi leading Mercedes, then it's Audi, McLaren, Mercedes to round out the top 6. But there, Kelvin van der Linde now is up into 10th place, and he's certainly not finished yet. Konstantin Terechchenko is still leading the Silver Cup, but now Riccardo Feller behind him is closing. 1.2 seconds is the gap. But Vanthoor taking over from Charles Witt, carrying on the good work. And they had 2 wins here last year. You've got to say that Audi and Misano, they go together well, don't they, John?
Yeah, it's a bit like a prawn cocktail on the beach down in Tolnica, the hotel and the town, just a few miles from this wonderful racetrack at Misano, where you can sit out and enjoy an evening sun.
Indeed so. Right now, Vanthoor is monitoring that gap. There's no chance, I don't think, of Engel getting close enough to him, nor really is Christopher Hauser being able to bring that gap down, but it's still just under 3 seconds covering the top 3. 4th in the background is Vervish, and Ben Barnicoat runs 5th in the McLaren behind. So with 4 minutes to go, what are we going to get? 3 more laps, probably? It is looking very good indeed for Dries Vanthoor and Charles Weerts to take a second victory of the season. And as they come out of turn 15, look how wide, look how committed they all are.
Very, very committed. Disappointed to hear that 38, the Jota McLaren, is under investigation for a potential pit stop infringement. That was one of the notifications just passed recently. Nevertheless, Ben Barnicoat driving the wheels off the McLaren, but look how close the Mercedes has gained over those last 2 laps. Once he got clear of others around him, Raffaele Marciello doing what we know he always does, and that's get his head down. Will he try and snatch that position away? Well, he's got an opportunity to get into the top. I got him to 5th position on the front, 5th position.
Will Raffaele Marciello try for another position? Let me think. No, I'm pretty sure he will, only because Raffaele knows that irrespective of the race, he needs some points after a disappointing Zandvoort race 2, as an example. He's got to try and get some points on the board here. He's losing touch in the Sprint Cup Championship. So, yeah, I reckon if there's half a gap, he's going to go for it. He's not quite on the back of Ben Barnicoat's McLaren just yet, but Ben accelerates towards us with that gap coming down slightly. We're into the last 3 minutes of the race here at Misano. And as the leaders go through turn 11, you've just been hearing about the McLaren being looked at for a possible unsafe release. It's for the officials, for the stewards to decide, but let's just try and catch the end of it. So there is the McLaren accelerating out as the Aston Martin comes in. So that was the end of it. It was a report, I think, from one of the teams that's drawn attention to all of this. So wherever the McLaren crosses the line, that's not necessarily the end of the story. We've got time for 2 more laps here, John, now.
Yes, and for both drivers and the McLaren, they've done a great job. And having the McLaren right now, first of all, back at one of our events, but running in the top 6 and 5th position. As you get the view from Raffaele Marciello, looking forward to the rear of the McLaren 720S Dual to Sport, running this car this year. Down the gears into turn 4, and you make turn 4 and 5. It's just one constant arc. Then the quick cut back through turn 6. Lots of taking of the curb on the inside. It's the outside we saw in that opening lap, the dynamic motorsport running over those yellow, they're like baguettes really more than anything else, and that's what flicked the back of the car way up in the air.
I think I heard one driver.
Turn 8 and the run up to turn 9.
I think I heard one driver call them yellow bananas as well, so we've got all sorts of descriptions, but yes, you've got to stay off them. If they're a yellow curb, keep away, avoid, avoid, avoid. Raffaele Marciello at turn 9 is the fastest of all by 3 kilometres an hour over everybody else, and right now he is chipping away at the back of Ben Barnicoat. In the first sector, he's taken just under a 10th out of the McLaren. In the second sector, he's taking hundreds out of the McLaren, but he's closing.
Yes, he is, but the difference in pace between the two cars, look how much he closes up there under brakes into turn 14. Well, that was quite impressive, but again, on the acceleration off the corner, Ben Barnicoat opens up the throttle, runs very wide on the exit of 15, but stays sufficiently away from those very, very aggressive curbs that are at the ultimate end of the exit of turn 15.
So there over the line is Konstantin Tereshchenko. Now look, Ricardo Feller is behind him. That's the Silver Cup lead battle that's just gone across the line. So that, for the last lap of the race, which is what we're starting, could well be the focus now. So as they turn into turn 1, it is Mercedes versus Lamborghini. Just further up the road from this little battle, as you see there, Patrick Kujala in the Rinaldi Ferrari go through. And there, with a problem, look, is Calvin van der Linde, who has slowed right down. So van der Linde all of a sudden has got a problem.
Yeah, and that's a problem that ain't going to get him to the, well, it might get him to the checkered flag, but he'll probably be more or less, we don't know what that issue is. It's not a tyre-related problem. Wow, almost overrun. Up the inside.
And out wide.
Up the inside again.
That's for the class lead, remember. That's for Silver Cup. So it is Tereshchenko, lost his lead, got it back. Ricardo Feller clambering all over the back of him, briefly ahead, but he ran so deep he lost the lead back to Tereshchenko. Only half a lap to go. Brilliant battle this, John.
Yes, it was. I mean, that was a big move by Ricardo Feller. He was so late in the brakes, he couldn't slow the car down. Tereshchenko saw it and made the easy undercut back, got up the inside as Feller was trying to regroup. But now, still, 2 corners remaining, 3 corners. Feller hasn't given up.
Ooh, contact there. That's going to unsettle the Mercedes. The race leader is heading up towards the line. There is the checkered flag. Dries van Thorp wins with Charles Weerts at Misano. Second, Lucas Stoltz and Mauro Engel. Third, Christopher Haase comes across the line in the Audi shared with Leo Russell. And what's going to happen here in the Silver Cup? Feller has been shuffled back, hasn't he, by Jack Aitken. So as they come over the line, the Mercedes takes the win in the class, but Ricardo Feller on the racetrack lost a place to his teammate.
Yeah, because the battle that was going on with Feller, trying to force the issue, caused a compromise. Jack Aitken read it, made the move, took the position away. Good for Aitken, not good for Feller.
No, indeed. So, what a race. Really busy, really lively all the way through. Dries van Thorp and Charles Weerts win for WRT. That's had problems with two of its other cars. So a bittersweet race in a way for the Belgian team. But Weerts and Vanthor, they just make a great partnership, don't they?
I mean, the whole Emile Frey package last year came of age. This year it's just been so. I mean, at Zandvoort 2 weekends ago, dominated, absolutely dominated. But here in Misano, the circuit appears to consistently favour the Audi, albeit the Lamborghini and the Audi are not a million miles apart. But whatever the way the chassis, the aerodynamics, whatever way each car works, it looks as if Audi have that fractional advantage. But what a close race.
Well, let's have a look at the provisional result then as they came across the line. Charles Weerts and Dries Vanthor winning from Luca Stoltz and Mauro Engel, with Leo Roussel and Christopher Haase taking third. Aurélien Panis and Fred Verbiche fourth from Ollie Wilkinson and Ben Barnicoat. Sixth, Timur Bogoslavski with Raffaele Marchiello. Seventh, and winning the Silver Cup, Jim Pla and Konstantin Terashenko, ahead of Konsta Lapalainen and Jack Aitken. Ninth, second silvers, Alex Fontana and Ricardo Feller. And in the end, 10th, Albert Costa and Norbert Siedler in a race that should have delivered far more. 11th, the third of the silvers, Juuso Pohakka and Oscar Tunjo in the Mercedes. So a very busy race indeed. Look further down, what happened in Pro-Am, it was a win for the Barwell Motorsport Lamborghini of Miguel Ramos and Enrique Chavez. Second in the Pro-Am Battle 188, Alexander West and Johnny Adam. And third, after being in the gravel early on, Valentin Pierberg and Dominic Baumann in the Zandvoort winning SPS Automotive Performance Mercedes. Oh, time to catch breath after all of that. Really hectic race. We've got another one to look forward to tomorrow.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, it's the nature of the racetrack, the pace, the balance of performance, everything guarantees close racing. A bit of rubbing, a bit of hip and shoulder. In the case of that incident at turn 16 between the Bentley and the Aston Martin, well, that was the case of an unguided missile. And I think I know the responsibility on that area lies.
Luca Stoltz there, standing beside his car, out of which Mauro Engel will get in a moment. There was a very happy Christopher Haase who uncoiled himself from the third-placed Audi, but that is race winner Dries Vanthor, who's very hot and bothered after that stint in the car. It's a hot day anyway, but it's really hot inside the GT3 spec Audi R8 LMS, and just when he wants to catch his breath, he's got to put a face mask on there. Luca Stoltz and Mauro Engel embrace one another. It's hard to really know whether they're happy with that second place or that's a, you know, did your best mate kind of embrace between the two. But we might be able to shed more light on this once we can hear from the winning drivers, from the top three drivers. Gemma Scott is down there. She's certainly got the winners. She might be able to grab all of the top three in a few moments. Gemma, they're all yours.
Dries and Charles, a fantastic result. Dries pushing right to the end there after that safety car restart.
Yeah, well, the safety car wasn't really helpful, but because we had a nice lead. But yeah, I gave it everything after the restart to make sure that our gap was comfortable enough, let's say. But it wasn't easy. But I mean, yeah, great job by the team. Amazing pit stop again, and Charles did an amazing job already all weekend. So looks like my lessons are paying off. No, I'm joking. No, but I mean, yeah, great performance by the team, and yeah, can't wait for tomorrow, to be honest.
Absolutely, Charles. Of course, as Dries said, his lessons are paying off.
Yeah, I mean, luckily he's not teaching me how to play golf. Otherwise, yeah, I would be still the training court. But yeah, I mean, really happy. As he said, team did amazing. It was a pleasure to drive this car. It was just perfect. The guys at the pit stop did again, I think, the fastest. Yeah, I mean, full Cielo was for sure not great for us, but yeah, it's racing. Sometimes it plays in your favor, sometimes against. And yeah, I mean, Dries did perfect to manage that, and yeah, it's great to be back in the lead and to have again a win here in Misano.
Absolutely, congratulations once again.
Thank you.
We'll come across behind you now to our third place drivers from Santalok. I can see just over here across. Leo, Christopher, we'll bring you out here if we can, just have a quick chat. Leo, you put a fantastic qualifying in yesterday. Great place starting from the front row there. A little bit difficult to keep the pace on and in the traffic as well.
Yeah, it's my only third race in the GT3. For me, it's the new discover a new world. The qualifying was quite good. In the start, it was a little bit tricky because it my third start. And then I tried to manage the pace, but with the safety car, I struggled a little bit. And then after Chris did an excellent job, yeah, a legend today. Thanks to him and thanks to Santalok, the team. He did a great job. again in the pit stop, and we're on the game.
Absolutely. Christopher, you couldn't have asked for a better drive, and when we saw it in your face as you got out the car.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, Leo made the key point with the qualifying, putting our car in the first row. I think then we've seen quite exciting racing. I have to say at the end, when I jumped in, we had a fantastic pit stop. My Audi R8 LMS from Santelog Racing had a fantastic pace. So this all together made us podium guys today, and let's hope that we can push like this in the next races.
Congratulations once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, the point just made there by Christopher Hauser about the pit work and evidence in that race of just how crucial it is. You know, nearly 5 seconds gained by WRT, and if it purely was traffic, then it was a very costly delay for the Emil Frey racing team. I think maybe it was just not that quick a pit stop, exacerbated by the traffic, but it was bang on to the 10th, 14 seconds slower than the pit stop of the number 32 Audi. So that was purely the time from the pit in to the pit exit line, 14 seconds lost in the pit stop. So it really, again, underlines how important the pit stops are. And it seems that every year at the SRO Awards, the pit stop challenge mechanics that step forward are always WRT, and you can kind of see why, can't you? Another really good effort done there. So, a very busy race, and let's have a look at the highlights of the last hour. There were many of them, with a good start made by Charles Weerts, and much of the drama happening on the run towards that first corner as some got hung out to dry. Part of the problem, I suppose, in a sense, came with Elise de Pauw not getting away very quickly, getting himself stuck in the middle of the traffic, and that causing people to dodge left and right, which in turn meant that some of them had to take to the escape road rather than get caught up. There was a spin, though, for number 30 at the first corner. The Benji Goethe Audi tagged, and that was facing the wrong way. Adrian Delina had this wild old ride in the Porsche, launching himself over the curb, and that car didn't complete the opening lap either, as it was in big stride. Then drama for Giorgio Roda. He was tagged by Alexander West. Alexander got a 5-second time penalty for his pains. We had Louis Machiels in the gravel, and when the dust settled, there was also Valentin Pierberg off the road as well. That brought out a safety car. Then another drama, that was Fabien Laverne having a spin. He would eventually retire to the pit lane. So we had our first full course yellow into a safety car. That bunched up the field. We went racing again, and straight away Jim Plower in 87 was on his toes, forcing out wide Leo Roussel, and it was Aurelien Panis that nipped up the inside to gain 2 places. Time lost in the pits as the Aston Martin came past for number 163. Norbert Siedler eventually did blast away, but that was 14 seconds lost against the number 32 Audi as the number 26 Fred Vervish and 25 Audis of Christopher Hauser battle on 88. Now Raffaele Marciello at the wheel looking to make progress as the Nicolai Schiergaard Aston Martin tangled with Pierre-Alexandre Jean, and another full course yellow into safety car appeared. Then Marciello found a way past Terashenko, who hung on to his lead in the Silver Cup despite this move from Ricardo Feller. He got the class lead for a corner and then had to give it back. At the checkered flag, Dries van Thor through to win with Charles Weerts, and then second place Mauro Engel and Luca Stoltz, and third Christopher Hauser and Leo Roussel. Konstantin Terashenko and Jim Plower winners of the Silver Cup, and it's time we heard from the Mercedes drivers with Gemma.
Boys, a fantastic class win for you. Konstantin pushing right to the very end. There's a lot of traffic out there to deal with as well.
Yeah, I do it my best to keep the position, all or lose or win. This is like that.
Absolutely, and Jim, of course, setting it up from the start of the race.
Yeah, I took a good start. I could overtake some car. Yeah, then I was a bit stuck behind the Audi. When it was not Roussel, was Panis. So yeah, we knew that we were P1 in silver, so I just tried to manage the gap, and yeah, then Konstantin finished the job, so we are really happy.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good job by Konstantin Terashenko there to get the lead back. I know that Ricardo Feller was a bit unguided missile up the inside, but even so, it was Terashenko who was savvy enough to think he's never going to make the corner at that speed. I'll let him go and I'll get the place back. So planning ahead, thinking ahead. It's fascinating, isn't it, to see, and John might have a thought on this as well, the young drivers that come into GT racing and how some of them adapt very, very quickly indeed.
Well, if you're coming out of a junior Formula and single seaters, you're accustomed to a very combative, a very aggressive style of motor racing. we're seeing a mixture of sort of mature and some more elderly, the incumbents, and it's a balance of how those two different thinking and philosophies actually work together. We saw today what happens. Great and very exciting motor racing. Ultimately, it's the consummate professionalism of the winners and WRT. That victory was all about getting it right in the pit lane and letting the two drivers in the car do their business by qualifying as they did do and then consolidating all the way through.
Indeed so, and there we have the top three crews overall, already on the podium, Leo Russell and Christopher Haase. Nearest to us, Lukas Stoltz and Mauro Engel. And for the top step, with trophies, with the checks that go to the season-long entrance across sprint and endurance, there are Charles Weerts and Dries van Thor, the first drivers this year to take a second victory. The Engel family represented on the podium too, and applause all round as WRT will be represented as well as the winning team. But race one at Misano, a win for Dries van Thor and Charles Weerts. So WRT the winning team, Charles Weerts and Dries van Thor the winning drivers, and so now the drivers being encouraged to step forward to pose for photographs, and I think they can take their masks off if they so wish, but not too many takers for that. They've got used to wearing masks nowadays, so persuading them otherwise is difficult. But congratulations to Charles Weerts and Dries van Thor, win number 2 of the season. Jack Aitken, the man that set the fastest lap of the race, so that's our first podium done. And of course, who knows what's going to happen in race 2, because John, tomorrow bright and early they go again, different driver for a completely fresh challenge in qualifying.
Brand new day, brand new circumstances, conditions, whatever. We could have a similar grid or we could have an entirely upside down grid.
And this is how the championship now looks. Dries van Thor and Charles Weerts having taken the lead with the point for pole, extending that lead over Ricardo Feller. Alex Fontana is third ahead of Raffaele Marciello and Timur Bogoslavski. They're just half a point up on Mauro Engel and Lukas Stoltz, with Albert Costa 6th, 7th Pierre-Alexandre Jean and Ulysse de Pauw ahead of Norbert Siedler. Then Oliver Wilkinson and Ben Barnicoat tied on points with Konstantin Terashenko. So the championship situation has already shuffled. The fans enjoying action, enjoying the weather as well at Misano, and it's a really busy weekend of racing here with a whole host of national championships supporting GT3 and the GT2 SRO series that we have at Misano this weekend. But it's a very, very busy timetable, as now to the podium come the drivers from the Silver Cup. So there you have Juuso Pohakka and Oscar Tunho for Top Sport WRT. There for second place, Alex Fontana and Ricardo Feller. They've been outright winners as well as Silver Cup winners. Now second on the podium this time around in silver. And the winning silvers, we heard from them a little while ago, Konstantin Terashenko and Jim Pla. For ACA ASP, ACA Autosport Promotion, Jérôme Policon's team, the winning drivers hold their trophies aloft, and the team will be represented on the podium as well. ACA ASP, Konstantin Terashenko and Jim Pla win the Silver Cup. Félicitations Jim Pla, Konstantin Terashenko and ACA ASP then, as the drivers hold the trophies and the checks aloft, step forward for the benefit of the cameras at the foot of the podium here at the Misano circuit. And there is one more podium to go, which is for Pro-Am, and the drivers will be brought forward very shortly. But Konstantin Terashenko and Jim Pla take a second win of the season in sprint. Konstantin Tereshchenko, of course, being a silver winner in the endurance round, lest we forget, at Paul Ricard. What does all that do to the silvers in the championship? Alex Fontana getting away now from Ricardo Feller, Pierre-Alexandre Jean and Ulysse de Pauw not scoring today. They're third, only a point up on Jim Pla and Konstantin Tereshchenko, with Oscar Tunho and Yuso Pohaka then in fifth, Ezequiel Perez Companc and Rick Brokers sixth. And the Kelvin van der Linde Audi, just to go back a story, it was an electrical failure, I understand, from Gemma in the pits. That was why that car expired late race, so big frustration for WRT there. But Alex Fontana in silver, extending his championship lead. And the Pro-Ams are already on the podium. Valentin Pierberg, Dominic Baumann for third place, forgive me. Second there, Alexander West and Johnny Adam. And it's another win for Barwell, because for the top step, Miguel Ramos and Enrique Chavez celebrate. And Barwell Motorsport, Mark Lemmer's team, Mark not at Misano this weekend. He's watching all of this from afar and dialing in to make sure people are doing their jobs as they would under his beady eye. But he must be pretty chuffed with that, because Barwell Motorsport takes yet more silverware. A Pro-Am win at Misano for Miguel Ramos and Enrique Chavez. It's win number 3 of the season for Miguel and Enrique and Barwell Motorsport. So the British team, which of course is one of the standouts not only in this year, the Sprint Cup, with a win at each event, but also in the Endurance Cup and in British GT, where it's got an amazing track record, takes another win here. And Alexander West, Johnny Adam, along with Valentin Pierberg and Dominic Baumann, flanking Miguel Ramos and Enrique Chavez. They all step forward for the photographs, and then the drivers make their way from the podium. Tomorrow morning, bright and early, the cars hit the track once more. Qualifying will get underway at 9 o'clock local time. As far as Pro-Am is concerned in the championship, Valentin Pierberg and Dominic Baumann are now half a point ahead. That's all from Miguel Ramos and Enrique Chavez. And then it is Louis Machiels and Andrea Bertolini. So the Pro-Am competition changes, of course. Don't forget that the Ramos-Chavez partnership had to skip a race at Zandvoort, so that's why they're a bit further down in the points. Now, as we said pre-race, all of these races count towards the global point system. The Fanatec GT World Challenge, powered by AWS, runs in America, it runs in Australia, as well as, hopefully in the fullness of time again, kick-starting in Asia. And the points now see Mercedes ahead of Lamborghini, Audi still third at the end of what has been a very lively first race of the weekend at Misano. And there is more to look forward to tomorrow, starting afresh from a completely different grid after qualifying. We'll be on air at 9 o'clock local time for qualifying tomorrow, and then we'll look forward to the second race of the weekend. But for now, from Gemma Scott in the pit lane, from John Watson and from me, David Addison, it's goodbye, and we'll see you tomorrow for more of the same here from Misano.